What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button. This is episode 301, and we'll discuss more about that at the very end of the video. But let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, the official announcement of the HPI Venture Wayfinder came out. Now, we talked about the Wayfinder in September of 2023, where it was showed off at the NRSA show, the National Retail Hobby Store Association dealer show, which happens in Las Vegas. I got to take a look at this vehicle then, see exactly what it was going to bring us, which is basically the same old Venture, but with a new body and some of like the option parts installed onto it. The Venture was a wild tale of super unfortunate timing, and it could have been a platform that was super popular, except that it was delayed and the market passed them by before they even ever delivered the very first one. Once it finally came out, it was already behind the times, and now it's super behind the times. This thing is behind FCX10 2 times, if that gives you any heads up about what this thing is. But they have put a new body on this. The rumor sometime back was that HPI was sitting on a ton of HPI Ventures with the old FJ body on, but they had lost the Toyota licensing to actually sell or use that body. So they were just stuck with all of these trucks in containers. Where the full truth in any of that lies is hard to say, but that was what we had been, told or heard around the circles for quite some time. And now, looks like they got him back, put some new body work on it, and this is the design that they decided to go with. Tough sell. Body styles are subjective. I'm sure there's some of you out there that will maybe love it even. If you love it, I'd like to know why. Next, we're going to get into this topic, and this is a little bit political, but we'll keep it as just fact-based. A bill was proposed in New York, and this is Assembly Bill A8132, and this bill was proposed by Jennifer Rajkumar. And what this bill is saying is that if you want to buy a 3D printer, you'll need to go through a criminal background check, because 3D printers have the ability to produce ghost. And the bill says that any 3D printer capable of producing a ghost, any part of a ghost, would fall under these requirements. I'm sure some of you, many of you possibly, have seen what they're discussing on the internet. Now, even discussing this topic has a huge probability of this video getting just stomped down in the YouTube algorithm, but it's worth the quick read of a very short bill if you're interested in learning anything more about this. Leaving myself the partisan views either way out of it entirely, it is a very short read of it. Going beyond just exactly what they're intending to do, what the bill actually states is what a 3D printer, or what, how they're trying to define it, is a computer or a computer-controlled device that is capable of producing a three-dimensional part with a digital file. So by that same wording, things like, a CNC, which is less common than 3D printers, but they would still fall under that same thing. Now, in the roadmap of a bill becoming a law, I think there's a song for that, but it's very early in it. The likelihood of this bill going all the way through and becoming a law is probably low, but as much as you or I, many of us in general, may like or utilize our 3D printers, they're not necessarily that common. Not everybody has one, and definitely not everybody understands them. And this is the situations where something like this can sneak through because of the misunderstanding or misrepresentation, miseducation of people. This is just like, oh, these can do X, therefore we need to, take steps Y and Z. I'm not sure how many of you are in New York State, but if you are, maybe take the opportunity to express what your feelings on this are to your local representative. If you're not big on writing responses to a local representative, you can use like ChatGPT to help write something nice and simple. like I used to create the image over my shoulder over here. And in the easiest segue ever, speaking of 3D printers, I released some more files that you can download in 3D print. If you've got the Proline Cliffhanger cab only version, I've released a cage and interior set for that, as well as an inner fender set for the VRD with the stance body. That will likely work with other bodies like the Cliffhanger, but it's specifically made to work with that stance body. So if you're interested in either of those, you can go to the website, download those, and 3D print your untraceable scale details. If you're the early crew watching this video, later today, Vanquish Products will be restocking the VRD carbon kits as well as the VS410 Phoenix Portal Kit. The Phoenix Portal Kit's been gone for some time, but it's back and it's been updated. The photo that is over here shows the previous version. The new version is the same for the most part, except it's got Falcon tires on it rather than the old VXT1s that came on it previously. So you get the newer tires that came on like the RTRs instead, but those will both be in stock later this morning, California time. So hang out until then, go check the website. Then FMS finally gave us the full release of the FCX10 K5 Blazer. They'd been teasing it forever. We had no idea what was coming. Now I've linked to it below, like the rest of today's stories. And if you go click on that link, don't be scared. You're not on the Traxxas website. It just still looks exactly like a TRX4. It is a little bit less money, $400, $399 specifically. You can get this in a number of colors, and different from the Traxxas, it does include dig. Beyond that, it does show that you have two-wheel drive options as well as a 2-speed, but this thing is very TRX4 looking in all the ways. It is absolutely a knockoff TRX4. There are some cool extra features like the magnetic light connection that is in the back side of the chassis. So when you take the body on and off, it just automatically makes connections. So you're not undoing and redoing connections for your light kit every time you take the body off. That is nice. Lights are super annoying on that side of things often, but they've got around that. It does have like clipless body mounting system. And beyond that, it looks like a TRX4. It's a tough rationalization why to buy this over a TRX4 other than that initial cost. Because beyond that, the TRX4 is obviously going to have far superior aftermarket support, and even out of the box quality, the Traxxas is going to be pretty hard to beat. And everything else is going to stack up pretty evenly to it. The proportions on the K5 body from FMS are pretty decent, a little odd in a couple of ways. And of course you can get pretty much that same body from the other guys as well. Despite all that, there was an email from FMS stating that the initial sales of it were far greater than expected and to hold off on any release videos coming out until the second batch was ready. So customers are still buying it. And if you're one of those customers, I'd love to hear why you chose this version over the other. Is it just the initial outlay of cash? Because that seems to make the most sense. Tamiya had their official release of the LC40, I think FJ40, LC40, they call it LC40, on the CC02 platform. I think this is the same body we've seen used on some of their other platforms in the past, shocker, and then just on top of the CC02. I don't think that it's different. I could be wrong though. To me, it doesn't make it super easy to, find all that stuff before all of the, info is actually published, but I'm sure that the Tamiya faithful will have the answer. DSM Off-road posted up a few new products this week as well. First off, they had a rear link riser for the Element Enduro axles. This is a 3D printed insert, but it's done out of like an SLS nylon or something like that. So it'll be a higher quality print than a regular FDM style. But this will go in the upper link mounts of an Element rear axle. This is a tuning object meant to adjust the anti-squat of your vehicle. Sometimes people find this to help in climbing, sometimes people don't. If you're one of those people, DSM will have that available soon. They also released 2 more winch mounts for the VRD platform. One is a suck down winch mount, which it's more of just a micro servo above the front axle that then they have a plate that ties to the servo and axle mount, and that just allows you to use that servo arm to pull the chassis down onto that servo when you're, looking to lower that front CG, or hold it down so it doesn't unload on like a steep climb or something like that. It's a multi-piece design that helps get everything in the right orientation. Then they also released a front bumper mount micro winch mount. A lot of words, a lot of mounts in there, but this will put that tiny little, like a micro 99 on the very front of the chassis, and you can run an external spool on that. They also showed in here a carbon fiber and aluminum front bumper, which actually looks pretty clean. It's got some carbon fiber extensions and then some aluminum posts and spacers to the outside that give you that front bumper. Actually, again, this thing looks pretty good. So DSM Off-road will have all of those things available soon. I'll put a link below to where you can find them. Yesterday, I put out a vlog style video of my Sunday activities where I tried to pack as much RC in one day as possible. Well, kind of RC, all RC related things. Some 3D scanning, some designs, some competition, even snuck in a sneaky review in there. Then came home, some 3D printing, some welding, fixturing, video editing, the whole deal. So fun video, again, with a sneaky review in there. Go check that out. And of course, live stream takeover this Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. This will be episode 208, which this will be the last episode of season 4 before we start season 5. I kept trying to jump the gun on that one, but going on our 5th year of that show without ever missing an episode. That's an accomplishment. But that's going to do it for this week's news topics. For this week's question, obviously I'm trying to change some stuff up around this place just to, a new look. Granted, it's all on the computer out there. It looks the same in here. But what was the last time that you decided, you just stepped back and you're just like, I got to do something different. I got to change something. Whether it was just, putting a new body on your comp truck, changing the wheels out, painting a room, getting a divorce. I don't care. What was the last time you just looked around and said, I got to make a change? I didn't do any of this thing. I changed the color on that thing. That's it. Drop your comments below. Again, I appreciate the comments every week. My favorite part of the Scale News Update, 100%. But with that, as always, thanks for watching the Scale News Update. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the notification bell. As always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. So, extended cut. Obviously, this is episode 301. I'm continuing the news at this point still. Last week, I really did kick around the idea of just making it the end of the Scale News. It is a lot of work. There's a lot to it. And sometimes sometimes you just don't feel like it. And I read all of the comments, and a lot of them were super constructive suggestions. I'm not one to go to a, once every other week or once a month schedule. I'm either going to do it 100% or I'm not going to do it at all. It's the only way that I can approach it. Beyond that, I'll cheat and I'll be like, let's do it. I'll just take another week off, or I'll just, I'll just do it the second week of the month rather than the first week, whatever it may be. That's what I'll do. I know that. Unless I just stick to the deadline, stick to the schedule, and don't deviate, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to play around with trying to change things up in some way. I don't know how yet. I changed the color this week because I wanted to do something, and I didn't decide I was going to do the Scale News until pretty late in the evening. Right now it is 10:45. I don't have anything super important or a revelation to speak of. I do want to say I appreciate all of your guys' super nice comments last week. That was not the point. I wasn't putting the post on Facebook trying to just get the comments and the hearts. I just was seriously contemplating stopping the series. Not stopping YouTube or even cutting back on YouTube, just changing what I was doing the most. But regardless, we're going to keep this thing going for now. I'm going to keep thinking on ways that I could possibly slightly reorganize, do this or that. The idea of getting some help is something that maybe is possible if I could figure out the right way to do it and make it effective. I just don't know exactly how that would work, with some sort of remote type thing and how the edit, it's difficult. So this whole portion was somewhat pointless, but a thank you for all of the nice comments, and we'll keep rolling for now. Appreciate all of you guys who stick around for this stuff.